PWCC is a great way to sell your sports cards. If you're looking for a way to support the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel, consider using the promo code Cajun, all caps, C-A-J-U-N, when you're selling your cards on the PWCC marketplace. Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and this is going to be, I still don't know what I'm calling this video series, maybe the What About Bob collection, maybe the Connecticut collection, maybe the longest 72 hours of my life. I don't know what you want to call this, but this should be video number 2 in a multi-part video series where I am flying up to the great state of Connecticut to purchase a massive raw basketball card collection consisting primarily of only 80s and 90s cards. I coordinated a purchase price that was well into the 6 figures, just to give you guys an idea of how serious this acquisition is and how much time and energy and effort and diligence it took to put it together. And I purchased it without ever laying eyes on a card. So that may lead some of you to question my sanity and my ability to absorb risk and to take risks. I've never been known as a conservative person, except politically. But when it comes to cards, I'm pretty reckless and pretty aggressive. And like Michael Scott and Wayne Gretzky said, you miss every shot you don't take. So this second video is just basically to take you through, and again, I'm filming this, I should say recording this on Monday, October 9th. So Friday, October 6th, Saturday, October 7th, and Sunday, October 8th, comprised what I would call the longest weekend of my entire life. So I think we left off on video 1 with me showing you guys how I got myself prepared as far as supplies, as far as spreadsheets, as far as trying to get up there. My initial plan, remember, was to fly to Connecticut, convert all of the super valuable stuff, move it out of top loaders and penny sleeves, because I was under the impression all these cards were in top loaders and penny sleeves. Hold that thought. We're going to address that issue. I was going to move those into semi-rigids and fresh penny sleeves. I had already cut off the corners of the penny sleeves to make sure that when I slip the cards in, because I'm going to go going really fast, I'm trying to put about 1,500 to 2,000 cards from top loaders and penny sleeves into new fresh penny sleeves and semi-rigid holders, so I could put them in the aforementioned Zion cases, which I could put into book sacks and carry-on luggage to bring on the airplane coming back, because our flight leaves, I think, at 7 o'clock p.m. Sunday from Connecticut. So I had a very short time window. Basically, I thought I had 48 hours in Connecticut. My plan was to spend, I can't tell you how off the itinerary we got, just stay tuned, but the plan was to get to Connecticut. I had a 48-hour window to move about 1,500 cards into semi-rigids and penny sleeves, into Zion cases, into carry-ons, because I had my son, Cajun Jr., with me, who proved to be an indispensable resource on this trip. That gave us 4 carry-ons on the flight, which gave me 5 Zion cases, which gave me room for about 1,500 big-time cards, so I didn't have to ship those through the air. I thought when I got up there, it was going to be a digestible quantity of cards, so anything that I thought needed to be shipped, I was just going to head over to FedEx. I was going to put them into big boxes and send as many shipments as I needed back to Baton Rouge, and then take the real big-time stuff with me on the airplane. All right. I have got a pictorial kind of chronological flow of this, and with a bunch of photo dumps where I just took photos to remind me of what the hell happened and how we got way off track on this trip. You guys are not going to believe the detour that we took on this trip. So let me take you back to Friday morning at 4 o'clock. I am the type of person that hates flying, okay? I do not like flying. I do not like traveling at all, to be quite honest with you. I am definitely a homebody. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is my home. I have never been to Connecticut. I have never really been to the Northeast for any extended period of time. Our flight was leaving New Orleans at 8:30. Our flight was leaving New Orleans at 8 o'clock. Sorry, at 8 o'clock. New Orleans is about an hour from my house in Baton Rouge. I like to wake up at 4. I drink my coffee, eat some peanut butter toast, eat nice and lean, get everything moving through the body, if you guys know what I mean. Take some time, relax, breathe, get all my crap together, double check my bags, wake up Cajun Jr., get him ready, leave the house at 5:30. Okay, 5:30, 3 hours before our flight leaves. No traffic, right? Going down to New Orleans. The airport is exactly 58 minutes away from my house. So the plan was to get down there at around 6:30, 2 hours early at the airport. New Orleans has been the easiest airport in the world to fly out of. The surface parking lot is literally like 50 feet away from the terminal, which is about 100 feet away from the whole check-in security area, which usually takes no time, and I'm straight to the terminal. So I am thinking I need maybe 15 minutes at the New Orleans airport to get on the plane. Boy, was I wrong. We get there. Surface lot is full. Okay, fine. I'll just I'll go to the parking garage, which is right there on the airport. The on-site parking garage, full. Okay, well, shit. It's starting to rain now. I can't park where I normally park, so now I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone. And by the way, sorry, here's my pictorial. This was taken at about 5:31 a.m., right? My alarm goes off. We get in the car. We're leaving. This is a deer, and this is the difference between where I live and where most people live. There's a deer in my yard as we're pulling out. I can't help but think this is an amazing sign. Everything is going to go right on this trip. Deers, I'm going to pluralize it like my 9-year-old son does. Deers is good luck. Well, apparently they're not. But there's the deer staring right at me. You can't see, but over here in these bushes, there's 6 or 7 more baby deer. So what an adorable, cute way to get started on my trip to Connecticut in my neighborhood on the way out. Here is a picture of what happened. So go back with me. I was at the New Orleans airport. I'm just going to valet my car. Screw it. It's $36 a day. I'm only going 3 days. That's $100. What do I give a shit? Because I'm paying $100,000 plus for this collection. I'll just valet the car. I don't want to be late for my flight. I don't know where I will put my car. I can't park in the surface lot, which is outdoor. I can't park in the on-site parking garage. It's full. Guess what? I get to valet. There's 20 cars backed up and 1 attendant. So I scream at the guy. I'm like, hey, how long is it going to take to valet my car? He's like, about an hour. And I was like, not going to happen. Not going to work. I'm going to be late. So we have to leave the airport. I find a lady who's working there, and I'm like, hey, where do we park? What do I do? She's like, oh, baby, you got to take it to the economy parking, which is at the old New Orleans airport, which is 5 miles away. Keep in mind, it's raining. I don't know where I'm going. Fine, we drive the car over there, park the car, then we have to get on a shuttle. At this point, I am 1 hour until my flight takes off. For all of this crap took forever. So now it's 7 o'clock. Flight leaves at 8. I am not a traveler. I'm a nervous Nelly. I like to get to my terminal like an hour before my flight leaves. I'm not one of these people that travels all the time, as in case you can't tell. And I also have a slight anxiety problem. By the way, more to come on that as we get further in this video as well. So here is a picture of the bus shuttle, just to remind me what the hell was going on. This bus driver lady decided she wanted to wait 15 minutes for the whole shuttle to fill up. So now we're leaving 5 miles away from the airport at about 7:15. Keep in mind, it's raining. Keep in mind, it's a shuttle. Keep in mind, there's about 20 traffic lights to get from the old airport economy parking garage, which I didn't know still existed, to the airport. So that is a picture of that shuttle. We finally get there. We whip through security. When I tell you we got through security in like, I don't even want to say 10 minutes. It was like 5 minutes. There was not a line. Like I literally walked up and took my shoes off, which was very rare. And it was about 7:35. So I'm 25 minutes from my plane taking off, which is too close for comfort for me. Most people would have been fine, but I'm nuts like that. We saw this plane, and I asked Cajun Jr., I'm like, hey, man, do the Saints play the Jets this weekend? This plane was at one of the terminals, and we looked it up, and it's not the Jets. The Saints played the Patriots. They beat the shit out of them, by the way. Go Saints, which is great. Not that I'm a huge Saints fan, but I'll rather them win than lose. The Jets were not in town. That must not be a private plane for the Jets. It's just JetBlue decided to paint one of their planes with New York Jets colors, whatever. So anyway, this is an interesting one right here. So we make it. We get on the plane. It's a 2.5 hour flight from New Orleans, Louisiana to Washington, D.C. When we get to the Washington, D.C. airport, to get our connecting flight from Washington, D.C. to Hartford, they tell me, oh, I'm sorry, the plane check-on is full. You're going to have to check your bags. And they give me these little tags, and they tag our bags, and they say, when you get to the entrance to the plane, hand this and they'll put your plane there and you can get them when you get there. And I'm like, no, not happening. I'm not taking any chances. Again, anxiety kicks in. You know how I am. I'm very organized, very detailed. So I rip those bitches off and I'm like, we're going to find a place to put these bags on the plane. So that's me ripping the bag check tags off, which made Cajun Jr. very, very nervous. And so moving along, we do find a way to keep those bags on the plane. So we keep the bags on the plane. And then when we are working our way through the subway to get to the connecting flight from DC to Hartford, we see this little fella right here. And for those of you who are old like me, you're going to know exactly who this is. This, I think his name is like, God, I forgot his name. I'm thinking Wendell Davis. It's not. It's something. He's Willow, and he's also apparently, I'm not a Harry Potter nerd, but he's apparently in the Harry Potter movies, and he's a little wizard or something like that. But he's 3'6", and he was the star of the movie Willow in the 80s with Val Kilmer, which I watched like 15 times. And so we saw him, and so now we've seen a deer, and we've seen a little person, so I'm thinking, this is going to be the greatest trip of all time. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Stay tuned. I don't want to spoil it. So we keep going. This is our plane, and of course, Cajun Jr. never flies. He's scared to death. And I fly enough to where I'm not scared of flying. I'm more scared of the idea of getting onto the flight or getting there on time and missing a flight and all that stuff. So this is our plane. It's one of those deals where you just walk outside and then you walk up and you get in the plane. So we get on the plane, and this is sort of a picture of where the plane lands. Nothing eventful with the flight. So we land in Hartford. We get a rental car. That's a picture of downtown Hartford, which is not that sexy or exciting. And there it is again, I think, right? I'm not sure. Connecticut is beautiful. I don't know what else to say. Again, this may be trash and nobody gives a shit about, but I'm trying to work my way to, video number 3 where I start showing y'all an incredible raw collection. We take pictures of Connecticut. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, finally I arrive, and again, I told you in video number 1, his name's Bob, and I've established a relationship with Bob over the last, maybe 60 days, 60, 75 days, just chatting on the phone, communicating by text, email, whatnot, etc. When I get there, the first order of business when I get there was Bob had some other cards that were not included on the agreed upon price with the original spreadsheets that he sent me. If you'll recall from video number 1, he sent me 17 spreadsheets, 9 of which were Jordan cards. The other 8 were like various sets, Bird, Magic, Kobe, Garnett, Ray Allen, Grant Hill, Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, a couple of, there was actually some vintage cards. It was basically 17 spreadsheets of tons of cards. Probably, I am going to guess, 20,000 cards, okay? So that's why I thought I was going to get into Hartford, move the big stuff over to semi-rigid holders, ship the rest. 20,000 cards, I can figure out a way to ship 18,000 cards. Surely I can figure that out. If you think about the long boxes, that should not be a problem. Well, when I get there, we had agreed, hey, he said, I've got some Jordan rookies. I've got some 86 Fleer. I've got a 1980 top set. I've got a 1981 top set, 2 of them. I've got a 1986 Fleer set, which is what you're looking at in this picture. I've got 2 1987 complete sets with stickers. I've got a 1988 set. I've got it with stickers. I've got a 1989 set with stickers. And by the way, I have a couple, he says, I have a few other sets that were not included on the spreadsheets. So I'm thinking, okay, if we'll get up there, I'll look at the stuff and we'll kind of negotiate a price for that. I brought an extra blank check to kind of work through that with him. I brought a certified check, obviously, for the 17 spreadsheets, and then a supplemental blank check. Then we're going to kind of negotiate that. So this is just a picture of that 86 Fleer set. And a little surprise was that the 86 Fleer set included 2 Jordan 57s, not 1. And so it's basically 2, an 86 Fleer complete set with stickers, including the Jordan, and then an extra number 57 Jordan base rookie card. And you're going to see those pictures of those Jordan cards soon because they look really, really good. So here's a picture of the 86 Fleer set, all in penny sleeves and all in top loaders. Here's another picture of some of the other sets. He had, the 92 Stadium Club members only, Series 1 and 2. He had the 1993, I think, members only complete set as well, sealed in these boxes. And then he had all kinds of other sets. All of them were marked, but there was tons of them. Like, I can't stress how many sets there were. Tons and tons. I am gonna guess there were 70 sets, right? Including from 80 tops all the way through the 90 Fleer that I already mentioned, and then you just start naming sets in the 1990s. And I'm including insert sets as well, included, that we had not yet discussed a price on. When I see how many there are, I'm like, okay, Bob, this is going to blow my brain right now. I don't have it. I'm still worried about getting all these spreadsheeted things that we agreed on in this SUV that he's got a basement. He's allowed me to drive through his yard, down a hill into his backyard, back the car up to the basement door. Thank God for that. And we've hauled 20,000 cards worth of boxes of cards into this SUV, beautiful Buick Enclave, sort of a mid-size SUV. It was a great car, in 2022 Buick Enclave. Congrats to all those who drive Buicks. I've never met a person that drives a Buick, but it was a great SUV, and the car got us where we were going. So we loaded that up, and then we went back in to negotiate a price for all the rest of this stuff, and by that time my head was blown because I was like, shit, this is more than I was thinking it was going to be already, right? And the rest of the stuff that we had not yet negotiated was even more cards. It was more than what we had already agreed upon that I brought a check for. And so I was like, let's put that off. Let's put that on hold, and we'll deal with it tomorrow. I need to get right to the hotel. We got to Bob's house at about 4. I wanted to get to the hotel at about 6. We're actually ahead of schedule. So I was like, Bob, let's talk about this stuff. I'll run some numbers on Card Ladder, which is my sales data pricing tool of choice, even though I'm not sponsored by those folks yet. And so I was going to get him a number, and we're going to negotiate that tomorrow because I knew I had to come back anyway. Well, as we left there, the biggest thing that caused me anxiety, a huge red flag, and let me put you on big screen for this, huge red flag, like 250 of the cards were in 4 screw downs. And so immediately, if you know anything about cards, you're praying to God, you're saying, please let these be the recessed screw downs, not the slabbed ones that just flatten the card, that cause it to be shrunken and damaged and flattened, which means it will not be graded, or it will be graded as damaged or altered. Please, please, please. And so the first one we look at is I'm trying to think, I think it was like a sharpshooter or something like that. It wasn't a super valuable card. I can't for the life of me remember it was in Fuego. It was in Fuego. It was in one of those 4 screw downs. So I was like, please, please, please. So we unscrewed it, and thank God it was a recessed screw down. And Bob took such amazing care and kept such detailed records in his collection. He had a little bit of what I have in him. So most of the valuable cards were in the exact same types of screw downs, which back in the 80s, he started collecting in 86, and then in the 90s, people didn't think about flattening cards would be a problem. So luckily, these were the recessed screw downs, but the anxiety resulted from, hey, thank God they're the recessed, but how in the hell am I going to unscrew 250 cards that are in screw downs and get those transferred and pack all this stuff up and get it to FedEx, which closes, by the way, on Saturday at 6 p.m. So I have 24 hours to get all this shit done. And so the anxiety is starting to build. I also have to negotiate a price for all this other stuff, which doubles the quantity, which also is causing the anxiety and nerves to build. And I'm starting to realize, despite all of the great efforts that I took to put together an itinerary and time this and give myself 72 hours, it's actually not going to be 72 hours. It's going to be less than 48 hours. And to get to FedEx, I have now 26 hours. Really 25 hours from the time I left Bob's house. And keep in mind, I have to buy the supplies to ship everything via FedEx that I'm not carrying on the plane. So anxiety upon anxiety upon anxiety. Thank God Bob gives us a screwdriver, an electric screwdriver that was nails and an extra battery and the charger. And so we're heading back from Bob's house. And by the way, there's one of the Jordan cards. Not bad, a little off top to bottom. Obviously, left to right looks really good. Here is the other Jordan card, which looks really, really good. I think it's got PSA 8 potential, maybe. I don't know. Again, you never know what you're going to get from PSA. And then there's the back of the first one, and there's the back of the second one. The backs both look really good, and that black stuff is on the top loader. It's not on the card, so it looked really good. That is what the back of the car looked like. And I wish I could do it justice, but in the back there, all that crap on top, you're like, what the hell is that? Oh, by the way, part of this collection included about 50 starting lineup figures with the cards in their original packaging. So what we did is we laid all the boxes down on the, my God, I forgot I'm not on screen share. All right, let me go back and catch you up. Can't say that I'm not genuine. So did I finish this one? Yeah, that's what the cards look like. This is what the Jordans look like. Sorry, boom, 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 boom. Remind me never to go back to big screen to emphasize stuff because I always forget to go back to screen share. So that's what the back of our SUV look like. That's all the starting lineup figures. They are laying on top of all of the boxes that we've laid, which takes up the entire back. Keeping in mind, we've laid down 2 rows of seats. So the whole back of the car is filled with, white long boxes, 3 rows, 2 rows, and some 1 rows, and then some mini sets. And then all the starting lineup figures are laying on top. It's every single Jordan starting lineup figure in their original packaging with the cards in there, and the cards look good. This is me and Cajun. We got to the hotel. The hotel ended up being a total, absolute, complete, miserable dump. It was disgusting. It was a Comfort Inn. I will not be sponsoring Comfort Inn on my channel. You don't have to worry about that. Spoiler alert to look forward. The next hotel we stayed at, and you're going to say, next hotel? What the F are you talking about? You're supposed to just stay here, get on a plane, and fly back. Well, again, stay tuned. There was a massive detour on this trip. But this is me and Cajun bringing our cards into the shittiest hotel on earth. It had horrible lighting. It had horrible service. It smelled horrible. The ceilings were low, which causes anxiety. My head almost hit the ceiling. That's how small these rooms were. It was an absolute and total dump. The people at the front desk were absolute jerks. The elevators scared the crap out of me. They sounded like they weren't going to work. But this is us hauling all that crap in with 2 dollies, and we had to make 3 or 4 trips, which took about an hour, which again, when you only have 25 hours to go to FedEx, buy all the supplies, and ship, at the time, $20,000 card, keeping in mind at Bob's house, there's another 20 or 25,000 cards at Bob's house that A, I haven't negotiated a price for yet, and B, I haven't got to the hotel, and C, have to also be shipped via FedEx before 6 p.m. the next day. And so the anxiety is building on anxiety is building on anxiety. This is where we started to dump all the stuff. That is about 1/4 of all of the cards, right? Remember, there's 18 spreadsheets, which means at least 18 boxes. This is my setup. I sat on this couch over here to the right. This was the first box that I pulled. As you can see, if you zoom in, look how many of those cards are in screw downs. And so there's cards in penny sleeves and top loaders in between, but many of the best cards are right here in screw downs. I've got about 2,000 card savers here. Over here off screen to the left, I have got about another, that's about 800 card savers. Over here, I've got another 1,200. So I'm 2,000 deep in card savers and 2,000 deep in penny sleeves, which you see right here. I do have a hand screwdriver here to do some of the cards myself because I don't trust Cajun Jr. with expensive cards. Here is my first spreadsheet so I can inventory and make sure that all of the spreadsheets match exactly what was in the box. Again, I've grown to the level where I really do trust Bob at this point, but I still want to make sure, the Star Rubies is in there. What? Star Rubies? Yes. Yes, Star Rubies, Team Skybox, Star Rubies, serial number to 50, Tier 1 level MJ card. And I've got highlighters here, so I'm planning to go through all the boxes and just check everything and make sure it's all there. Well, that goes out the window really soon because I have 24 hours now, and I don't have time for that crap. It's about 6 p.m. on Saturday when I took this picture. Over here is Zion case number 1. And the reason I call it that, and this is the case that y'all saw with the cool Jordan image on it. This is the case where I plan to put, the 150, maybe 180 best Michael Jordan cards. And then I've got another 3-row where I'll put the next best 180 Jordan cards. And then over here, I've got these bags are full of 3 more 2-row Zion cases to put about another 1,000 of the next best cards. And so those are the ones that I brought on the plane with me. Those are the bags and the Zion cases that I plan to put all the really high-end stuff, the best, most gradable stuff in to make sure I didn't have to ship them, take away all that anxiety. So there's a big picture right there, just kind of showing you my setup. This is just an example of what the screw downs look like. There's your 92 Beam Team, which everybody has grown to know and love, and I talk about it on this channel all the time. A great foundational piece for any Jordan collector. That's what the spreadsheets look like behind it. This is what the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, and thank God it was recessed, and these cards were pristine. No paper loss. Apparently, the humidity in Connecticut is not a big deal because all of these came right out of these screw downs so clean. They did not stick to the surface. It did not cause too much paper loss. A couple of them, I did notice some paper loss, and it will affect my ability to grade those cards, but most of them did okay, especially the huge cards. They came out nice and clean. They looked really good. Bob was a man of his word. The cards look good. So this is just one that I happened to show you where I was doing the screw removal from the screw downs. Here is a picture of Cajun Jr. His triceps need work. I get it. He won't like that in this video. He had the electric screwdriver here. Here is the extra battery charging over here. Here is a big fat soda drink, which I warned him, you don't want to drink this shit. We're going to be up all night doing this. You're going to get sick, right? Tuck that away. But so as I come across the screw down, I hand it to Cajun. He whips through those. I'm trusting him to take the cards out of the screw down, put them in a penny sleeve that I've already cut the corners off of so you don't catch corners when you put it in there, and then slip it into the top loaders, right? As you guys know, I mean, into the card savers. Card savers are lighter than top loaders. Card savers keep them safer than top loaders. There's less movement in those. I can carry those in backpacks and not worry about them moving. Anyway, so that's Cajun Jr.'s station over there to the left. That drill is loud as shit. The people in the room next to us had to have heard that drill for at least 7 hours. So we're grinding. I am going box to box. My back hurts. My neck hurts. I'm exhausted. I woke up at 4 a.m. and now we're here pushing 8 a.m. 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. It's been a really long day. We go till about 11 p.m. and then we just hit a wall, right? We have been doing this for 5 hours. I know that doesn't sound like a long time, but we try to crash. Cajun Jr. gets sick as a dog. He talked me into eating Wendy's. He ate like a bacon cheeseburger, a bunch of fries, a couple of nuggets. He drank that big-ass Dr. Pepper. I warned him. I was like, you don't want to do this crap. But he did. And so he is sick, borderline vomiting from about 11 until about 1 in the morning. Well, I can't sleep either. He finally ends up getting to sleep at about 11. I get to sleep at about 11:30. I wake up at about 2, and I have more anxiety because I'm wide awake. You know why I'm wide awake? Because I'm thinking to myself, if I wake up at 7, I have 11 hours to go through 20,000 cards and go to FedEx and buy the supplies and put them in the hotel room and put them in boxes and package it up and bring it back to FedEx. And by the way, I still have about 1,000 cards to go through in these boxes to put into semi-rigids because I'd only done about 400 cards that night in 5 hours. I'm not going to get through that. And by the way, there's 25,000 more cards at Bob's house that I haven't even looked up or priced or made an offer on that I have to get from his house, which is 20 minutes away from the hotel, and then get it back to the hotel, and then pack all that stuff up and ship all that stuff back by FedEx because FedEx closes at 6 p.m. on Saturday. So as I'm thinking through this, my brain's about to explode. So I just say, you know what? There's nothing to do here. Cajun Jr., you sleep, right? I'm just going to wake up and start grinding. So I woke up at about 2:30. I think the next picture, here's just an example of some of the cards. And these are the screw downs that they were in, as you can see. There's your 95 Beam Team. There's your Natural Born Thrillers. There's your Skyview, or Power Palette, I can't tell. There's your Jordan Meltdown, which, by the way, looked absolutely fantastic. The Jordan Meltdown looked great. So there's just an example of some of the cards. There's my tools. There's my highlighters. I'm going through my spreadsheets, making sure everything's in there. At some point, I said, screw the spreadsheets. I had to trust Bob. I just didn't have time to go through and check everything off to make sure it was there. I just had to take his word for it, and he was a man of his word. Everything was in perfect order. By the way, there is the big dog. That is the crown jewel of the collection. which I paid very handsomely for. I did have some experts look at it, no making fun of the fingernails. This is my favorite looking star rubies. It is probably the least valuable star rubies, but it's the best looking in my personal opinion. It is serial numbered to 50. It is one gorgeous card in hand, and now it's right over here, and I haven't even got a chance to touch it because I wanted to do this video before my brain filled up too much. Anyway, so the card looked great front and back. Before I got up there, this was the one card that I needed Bob to get me a picture of before we got the deal done, because the condition of the card and the fact that the card was authentic meant so much. And Bob said, I pulled it from a pack. I know it's authentic. And I was like, okay, I love you. I trust you. I've never seen your face. I've never shaken your hand. This was early on in the negotiations. I need you to get me a picture. And so he got me a picture of front and back. I sent it to the powers that be. I sent it to the Oracle Frankie. I sent it to Josh Dawson. I sent it to Stanley, some of the biggest Jordan collectors in the world. We put lots of eyes on it. The card's legit. And I was like, okay, well, now I can price it confidently. And this was obviously before we got the deal done. But when I got up there, sure enough, the card was in the box he said it was, on the spreadsheet he said it was, in the order he said it was. And that's what it looked like when I transferred it into the card saver. So that was the king. This is a picture of me showing you, hey, it was 3:34. I woke up at 2:30. I rolled around in bed, could not go back to sleep because I just knew at that point, I think at about 2:45, it was an epiphany, and not a good epiphany. I realized I can't do this. I'm about to throw up because I woke up at 4 o'clock, and here I am up at the next 4 o'clock, and I've only slept for about an hour and a half, and I don't do well without a lot of sleep. The hotel was disgusting, everything about it. The bed sucked. It was too soft. The pillows sucked. Everything about this hotel sucked, okay? I don't know if I could stress that enough. The cards were fantastic. The cards were everything Bob promised and then some, and it was a fun endeavor, but at the same time, it was a lot of work. But there's 3:34 on the clock, and it was about that time that I realized this is not going to work. I only have one option, and I will let you consider what that option is. You guys know what I'm about to say, and this is where the trip took a massive detour, but where it was almost like taking the air out of a balloon. I could take a deep breath because I decided there's only one way to get this done. We got to drive it back. We're 23 hours away from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from New Orleans, Louisiana. There's no way I'm making the flight. There's no way I'm meeting the deadline with FedEx. I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do it on time. I've got to drive these back. And so at that point, my anxiety level went, it was still high, but it was off the charts high, like I'm ready to go in the bathroom and vomit high, to just I'm uncomfortable being a human being at this point high, right? So it went from off the charts high to just high anxiety, because even though we're driving it back, I still had to get through all of these Jordan cards, get them out of all these boxes and into card savers and into the Zion cases so I could ship them, put them in the car and secure them to where they're not bouncing around in these boxes and crap like that. So I had a lot more work to do still. So I woke up at 3:34. I actually got out of bed at 3:34, went right back to that couch that I showed you, and got right back to work while Cajun slept. I did make a big stack of screw downs because I didn't want to run the screwdriver for fear of a neighbor killing me in the hotel room next to me at 3:34 in the morning, because the screwdriver was loud as hell, the electric screwdriver. So I worked through all the cards and top loaders, and I did the screw downs by hand. That's all I could do. And then I made a big stack for Cajun Jr. when he woke up. He ended up waking up around 7. Right when he woke up, actually I had to wake him up. I was like, hey man, I don't know how to tell you this, and he hates flying. I was like, I think we got to drive these things home. He's like, yes, let's do it. And I was like, okay, so I got to get on the phone with the rental car place. And I got on the phone. It took me forever to actually get a human being. And finally I was like, look, I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you, this car, I was supposed to bring it back to the Hartford airport at 5:30 on Sunday. I told the attendant, I was like, I'm driving this to New Orleans, Louisiana, and dropping it off at the airport. Just tell me what the damage is. And it was $1,100 extra dollars. So I ended up paying $1,400 for rental cars. But the way I rationalized it, and this is like a lot of people in the hobby would like to rationalize things when we make weird decisions, was like, The flight, obviously, I ate all that. And so all the flight back, I just didn't take it, couldn't take it. And I sure as hell wasn't going to get on the plane and let Cajun drive it back, Junior. And I wasn't going to put him on the plane and drive it back because I hate interstate driving and I can't do 22 hours by myself. So we said, you know what, we're going to tag team it and drive this thing back. And Cajun was on board and I was on board. And I was like, you know what, I get 23 hours on a cross-country trip in the car with my son. Life is not that bad. You know what I'm saying? I got a badass, 50,000 cards, 2,500 Jordan cards in the car with me. This is going to be fun, and it's going to make for a great story, albeit a long-winded one. So that's kind of where we were at that point. Again, this is my station. Here's a bunch of the screw downs. You can see the hot list right there. A Jordan card right here. I had some thick card sleeves just in case. Here's my penny sleeves with the corners cut off already, prepared. I had about 1,500 of those already. As I went through the cards, if it was a card that needed to go in the Zion case, I would do it, and I would put it in the Zion case. The penny sleeve, card saver into the Zion case, depending on whether it was super high end or just relevant high end. And then if it was just a card that I needed to leave in, that I planned to ship back, and now I was just going to leave them in penny sleeves and top loaders, I'd put it in this stack right here. And so I just worked my way through about 1,500 cards. Here is another example of the next box in line. So that's kind of what my workstation looked like. These are the screw downs and how they stuck out. So you can see how many of the cards are in screw downs. It's quite a bit. And how many of the cards all of these were in penny sleeves and top loaders. None of the cards were loose in the boxes. And that was something that I made sure that I discussed with Bob before we got the deal done and before I made an offer on it. So that's what the box kind of looked like. Let's go to the next image. There it is. Same thing. Same setup. There is a picture of what my finger started to look like as I had gotten through about 4,000 or 5,000 cards. And here's how that happened. I had to, on many occasions, reach in and pinch the card out of the top loader so as not to damage it. And as I would reach 2 fingers into the top loader so as not to damage the top edge of the card, the cuticle on my beautiful, freaking beautiful hand model worthy fingers kept catching the top of the top loader. And I can show you on screen right now. It looks, can y'all see this? It still has not healed and looks even worse. It's actually much worse now. But that started to bleed profusely, which I know sounds funny, but I had to stop because I can't get blood on cards. I don't know how PSA would grade cards that are covered in human blood. Never thought that was a phrase that I would utter, but there you go. And again, this one over here, that's what my fingers look like to begin with. Did I mention the word anxiety and worry? That's what the finger looked like at its worst, and that is with a Band-Aid on. The blood had started to flow through the Band-Aid, so one Band-Aid wasn't enough. I had to Band-Aid upon Band-Aid upon Band-Aid to the point where my fingers, honest to God, wouldn't fit in. You know how you can kind of hit the cards out of a top loader like that? Well, some of them came out and some of them didn't. And if they didn't, the high gloss cards, the cards that are a little thicker cardstock, they won't slip right out of penny sleeves and top loaders. So you got to kind of reach in and pinch the penny sleeve and kind of pull the card out. And that's my battle wound right there. So, and the funny thing was, my thumb, on the other hand, also is covered in blood because for whatever reason, when I put it in the semi-rigid, as I would reach in to put it in there, the right thumb would catch the front edge of the card saver and it ripped the cuticle off of that as well. So that's what happens when you try to do 2,500 card transitions in one day. Here is a picture of us going back to Bob's house. Okay, so we decided, look, we can't fly back, so that anxiety's gone, but I still got this matter of, hey, I got to make Bob an offer for 2 Jordan rookie cards, about 70 sets from the 80s and 90s, including some real meaningful freaking cards, right? And some meaningful ass sets. I didn't have time to look through any of them. I don't even know what's in there. It's at my house. I don't even know what it is. And you'll see some pictures in a second. And I've just made an offer and Bob took it. And he's like, you know what? That's about what I was thinking. And so I told Bob, look, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you working with me. And again, I want to say this now so I don't forget about it. I feel like I wanted to adopt Bob and his family. I got to meet his wife. I got to meet him. I dealt with him for about 60 days. He is a stand-up gentleman. He reminded me so much of an older version of myself. The way he collected with the spreadsheets, the way the cards were organized. He just didn't have access to a PWCC vault. And, to be honest with you, he didn't strike me as the person who was going to let somebody else hold his cards. He wanted to hold those cards himself in his basement. And but his level of attention to detail, the way the boxes were all labeled, the way the spreadsheets were immaculate and meticulously correct and in order, he reminded me a lot of myself and the way he collected. And so I think that's what sort of drew him to me as his choice of a person to buy his collection, because he hears me talking about it. I usually try to tell it like it is. If there's a good thing, I say yes, it's a good thing. If it's a bad thing, I identify it and say it's a bad thing, and I try to tell the truth in the way that I do business, in the way that I run my family, in the way that I am as a husband and a collector. And so Bob and I just naturally gravitated to one another, and that's how we kind of got in touch. He watched the channel and he's like, that's who I want to sell this collection to. And I made him a very fair offer. It was the biggest acquisition of my life. This is a picture of Cajun Jr. starting to load the back of the car. And at this point, we knew we've got to bring these bad boys all the way back. We got to bring them all the way back to Baton Rouge in a car. And so this is us starting to load it up. We had gotten the deal done. We bought the electric screwdriver back. And so we're stopping at Bob's house so I can write him another check, because we agreed to it on the phone, how much he would take for this additional Jordans, the additional sets. And we had to pick up all that stuff. First, we had to load the car up at the hotel with all the stuff we thought we were going to ship via FedEx, that we ended up just having to throw in this Buick Enclave and drive back. And so that's us loading the car. This is me driving into his backyard. By the way, look how beautiful his grass is. I kept telling him, man, our grass does not look like this in Louisiana. This grass looked like green carpet. So that's me driving my car around the side of his house to his backyard and backing the car up to his basement door right there. So that's me backing the car up to the basement door to minimize the amount of time and the distance that it takes. Because honest to God, I'm telling you, there's hundreds of pounds of cards in the back of this car. Hundreds and hundreds of pounds of cards. Trust me, I'll show you some more pictures later. That's what the back of the car looked like at its fullest. And I don't know if you guys can tell, we put this book sack on here. We did our best to sort of organize it to where if we had to stop at a stop sign or accelerate from a stop sign or a red light or turn left or turn right. And remember, Connecticut is this right here, man. We saw hills which don't exist in the state of Louisiana. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all have been to Louisiana, but we don't have hills, let alone mountains or whatever the hell you want to call it. Connecticut, there was not one flat spot anywhere in the world. It was just one hill after another. I call them mountains because I don't ever see stuff like that. So, and I'd never been to Connecticut. So that's what the back of the car looks like. You can see there's a sealed upper deck set right there. I don't even know what that is. A lot of the boxes were labeled. All of the boxes were labeled by Bob. I didn't even have a chance to read them. I just said, we got to get them in the car and get out of here and start going back. I negotiated with the thrifty rental car to drop the car off at the New Orleans airport by Monday, today, by Monday at 5:30. And just to jump ahead, I ended up dropping the car off this morning before I shot this video and then driving all the way back to Baton Rouge. And I couldn't wait to come make this video before I forget all of these things in my old man brain. That's just a picture of me. Can you read the level of anxiety in me right there, thinking, I hate driving. I've got me and Cajun Jr. and I've got to go through 23 hours through 14 states. Let's see, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. That was our trip. So I got to see 14 of the 14 states in one trip. It's a lot. No, 12 states. 12 of the 48 continental U.S., not Alaska, not Hawaii, but 12 of the 48. That's 1/4 of the country I got to see. And a lot of these states I'd never been to in my life other than the airport. There's a picture of it right there, sort of early in the game. There's Yale right next to us. And I was like, you know what? This is the longest trip I've ever taken by car. Let me take a picture of it. This is showing about 21 hours and 40 minutes left. 1,433 miles is a lot. And these are just some amazing, beautiful pictures of the scenery. This is us driving through Connecticut south. Again, Yale was just off. I'd like to go see it, but again, I don't care that much. Yale is basically the LSU of the North. Just kidding. Here's a car. This is another. We saw so many signs of how things were going to go right. The little person from Willow was not a good indication that the trip was going to go smoothly, but here I am alive. So thank you, Willow. The deer, I thought, was surely a telltale sign. Then I get behind this car in New York traffic. I got to go through the freaking Bronx. I'm behind this car, and I'm like, TMC. I was like, Cam, look at this car. It's got the license plate TMC, which if you guys are old like me and you watch basketball in the 90s and you collected, you knew run TMC, the Golden State Warriors. Tim, Mitch, and Chris, right? Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullins. I took a picture of that because I knew the people that would be watching this video would know what that meant. Here's just a picture of stuff that doesn't exist in Louisiana. It rained for about the first 5 hours of the trip nonstop, which sucked. New York was disgusting from what I could see. And again, I'm just going to call it like I see it. And I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, when we have swamps everywhere. But New York was absolutely filthy and disgusting. At least the I-95 South visuals were. It was gross, and the traffic was even more gross. It was the only real hang-ups in traffic we had on the whole trip, and the first 3 hours sucked because it was nonstop traffic getting through New York and New Jersey. And then after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. But here's just a picture of some real cool topography. There's a picture of some of the starting lineups. I think I posted this on Instagram, and of course somebody's like, "You got a Tom Gugliotta starting lineup," and I'm like, "Yes, that was the primary focus of buying this collection." This is us passing through Pennsylvania. Pursue your happiness. I did. I was happy not to be flying back and driving with my son. I don't know what. Oh, that's just a picture of the clouds. Once we got through the rain, it was just absolutely picturesque and unbelievable. Every single time we kept hitting each other like, "Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, look at that." And we were talking about like houses built into hills and pastures and just greenery. And the only way for me to describe it is, every 5 minutes, look to your left or your right, and it looks like a freaking postcard. Some of the shit looked like Lord of the Rings. It was crazy, some of the hills and some of the views, and this is just another example. And again, that's normal for people that are watching this that live in states like this, but I can't stress enough, in Louisiana, there's flat grass, there are sugarcane fields, there are, farmland, it's all flat, and then there's swamps. And that's it. And the rest is flat cities. And we don't see things like this. We don't have mountains. We don't drive through roads that are cut out between two massive hills or mountains. So this was all very new for us, and it was hard to keep our eyes on the road, and it just made for a great experience, man. I couldn't have gotten this flying back on the plane, and it was worth the extra $1,100. Just more great pictures, amazing pictures. This is just our trip back, just a bunch of pictures. Again, that's going to be boring for most of y'all, but here's a picture of one of the pieces that was in the collection, and these are now photos of when we got back. By the way, we got back, we stayed at a True by Hilton hotel, and it was everything that the Comfort Inn in Middleton was not. Actually, we stayed in Meriden, Connecticut, and so the Comfort Inn in Meriden, I don't recommend it. It's a 0-star hotel. The True by Hilton in Wytheville, Virginia. I don't think it was in Tennessee yet. I think it was in Wytheville, Virginia, or Wytheville. I don't know how you pronounce it. Wytheville. The True by Hilton. Everything about that hotel was absolutely perfect. The attendants were nice. The people were nice. The hotel breakfast was nice. The beds were nice. The remote control to the TV was nice. The showers were nice. Everything was nice. It was exactly what we needed after driving 12 hours day one on Saturday. We knew we had 10 more hours, and we were trying to get back in time to go. We're Catholic, and so we had to get to Mass on Sunday. We go to Mass every single Sunday. So we had to get back to Baton Rouge before 5:30 afternoon Mass. Catholics, for those of you who don't know, have carved out this nice little afternoon Sunday Mass thing for people who have sports schedules or don't want to miss NFL games in the mornings or watch soccer or whatever. So we can go to church Sunday afternoons as well. So there's a 5:30 afternoon Mass in Baton Rouge that we knew we had to get back for because we don't miss church on Sunday. That's just one thing we don't do in our family. And so Cam and I were flying back to make 5:30, and that was our day two. The only thing that was pushing us from a time standpoint was that we had a about a 10 and a half hour drive, and we had about 11 and a half hours to do it. And so we drove about 79 or 82 to make it back. But here's just one of the neat little pieces. I haven't gotten a chance to look through this stuff yet. There's going to be so much content coming off, but that's just a cool little piece, some kind of artist thing. I don't even know. That's what all of this stuff looks like stacked up at my house. Again, like this box down here, I didn't look at one thing in that box. Here's all those members only sets from Stadium Club. These are all the boxes that were in the spreadsheet. This whole thing back here is covered. It's just full of little mini sets from the 90s, like Skybox Z-Force, the whole set. Flare, the whole set. Some of it was insert set. It's nonstop. I didn't even get a chance to look at the boxes. I kind of made him a blind offer, and he agreed to it. And he's like, "That's kind of what I was thinking." He's like, "Take it all, man." And by the way, I didn't stress enough. I gave Mrs. Bob a hug. I gave Bob a hug. It was a really fun journey, and I know I sound sentimental and soft, but I felt like I had a kindred spirit connection with him. And I know that's weird to say, but I see myself in him 30 years from today. That's kind of the way I saw him. And I don't know. And I didn't get to see him that long in person. I wish I could have spent the day with him and his lovely wife. We did get to meet their cat, Martini, which you'll see a picture of soon. But that's the back room at my house after we unloaded all the crap once we got there. And so we're getting to the end here. So last photo there's JoJo. That's my youngest son right there. Bob included these 4 loose starting lineup figures. It's a Kobe, a Bird in a USA jersey, a Jordan in a USA jersey, and then a loose Jordan early Bulls jersey here. He said, give these to JoJo. He'll love these. They're obviously not worth anything because they're out of the packaging or whatever. And this is JoJo eating dinner after we got home. And I said, hey, Mr. Bob gave me a present. He's like, oh, what is it, toys? I was like, hell yeah, it's toys. And then I had to cut off Mrs. Cajun Cardboard's face because she hates to be in pictures. So sorry to disappoint you. But anyway, that's what it looks like in that back room. This is me this morning driving down to New Orleans. Like I said, that's what New Orleans looks like. This is the Pontchartrain. This is Lake Pontchartrain, one of the longest bridges in the world that you have to cross to get from my city of Baton Rouge down to the New Orleans airport. So I had another 3 hours round trip to get down to New Orleans, drop the rental car off, get my car and drive it back, and then get here to the office. That is the last picture. That's all we have. I hope that's not too boring. That's video number 2, just telling you how what we thought was going to be a 72-hour flight there, pack up, flight back, ship everything via FedEx. It just failed miserably. And I failed, but it was a winning failure. I'm glad I failed because I got to spend 2 days driving cross country, seeing stuff I've never seen, spending time with my 23-year-old son, talking about anything and everything under the moon. We listened to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, a lot of music, some of his music, some of my music, which is not necessarily the same. We got to talk a lot. We got to see some states we've never been to and may never go to again. I got to meet 2 lovely people in Connecticut and build a relationship with Bob. I made sure to text him when we got down here that we were safe and sound. And I know he'll be tuning into these videos and see these videos as well. Again, that's video number 2. Video number 3 is probably the one that you guys are going to care more about. Most of you people are going to be laughing at this one and say, I just wasted 51 minutes of my life listening to this idiot drive a car from one state to another like it was something big. But for me, it was big because this is the biggest purchase of my entire hobby career. It's going to occupy the next 90 days probably of my life, curating this and synthesizing this and fitting this into my PC one way or another. I did have a phone conversation with Nat Turner on the way back, somewhere probably in New Jersey, I think, or in Pennsylvania. About, I wanted to solicit his advice on the best way for me to get 1,500 cards to PSA and get them grading and how we're going to, what should I send them all at once? Should I send these there? Because I have different cards. I have, a $50,000 card all the way down to, Jordan cards that if they grade a 10, it's worth 150. If they grade an 8, it's worth 20. And so I was like, Nat, what should I do? What would you do if you were me? And we kind of talked through that. And Nat was, as always, super gracious with his time. And obviously he's come on the channel before, and I won't give any more details about our conversation, but that was it. I was like, Nat, I'm going to use PSA. That's kind of what the bulk of my collection is in. and I just wanted to pick his brain on what would you do if you were me. And so he was obviously super friendly and great with some words of wisdom as far as that goes. So I got a little bit of a game plan, but a lot of it's going to depend on me taking a closer look. I haven't gotten to look at the detailed condition of these cards. I just know generally as I was transitioning them, they looked freaking good. So there's a chance I'll do okay. Again, I don't have the best luck with PSA, but that's my grading company of choice. And that's what the plan is. So that's it. That's video number 2. Video number 3 is going to be probably a bunch of pictures just kind of showing you guys what I have. And I'll do that today and do my best to put that together and just kind of show you. I can't get, I mean, again, I got 40,000 cards at the house. I'm not going to be able to take pictures of those. But I did bring the Zion cases with the best stuff from what I could see. I didn't get to go through everything. So most of the best stuff, I think, are in penny sleeves and semi-rigids, and I'm going to take a bunch of pictures and maybe do some videos, and so that'll be video number 3. And then obviously I'm going to have a lot of videos about what I'm sending to PSA and a lot more videos about what's coming back from PSA. If you put a gun to my head and made me guess, I think I've got somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500, somewhere around 1,200, 1,500 cards that need to be sent to PSA for grading to maximize value. So that's a lot of mail days. That's a lot of grade reveal videos. That's a lot of decisions. That's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. So stay tuned, guys, for video number 3 in this playlist. I hope this wasn't too boring for you guys. I just kind of wanted to barf my thoughts and feelings and observations of the longest 72-hour weekend of my life with you. I spent a grand total of 19 hours in Connecticut. Let that sink in. So 72-hour weekend, 19 hours total I was in Connecticut, and like 15 of those hours was in the shittiest Comfort Inn you could ever imagine. It was dark, it was dank, it was stinky, it was stank. Again, I'm not going to let that reflect poorly. The rest of Connecticut looked absolutely incredible and amazing, including Bob's hometown, Middleton, Connecticut, which looked really cool to me. I may be saying that wrong. It might be Middletown. I don't know. But I was there for 3 or 4 hours, so it was beautiful. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. Sorry for taking an hour to say something I could have done in 10 minutes, but you know how I roll. Peace.